Let's just get this thing rolling here.
Let's do it.
All right. Hey, Brad Mcleod here, SealGrinderPT.com, live from the underground bunker. And today we have distinguished guest, UFC Hall of Famer. I could list off, MMA, acting career. He's a gym owner. On and on. We have the distinguished Bas Rutten here with us today. So if you all, just great to have you, Bas.
Thank you for having me. Nice. I'm relaxing, sitting outside. It's beautiful. Weather is nice. California, gotta be good, man.
Yeah. So you're out in, is it Thousand Oaks? That's where your gym is.
Yes.
Yeah, wow, that's nice part of the world. Now, what do you have any wildfires or anything going on right now?
Not right now. It got very close like 2 years ago. Next to my house, so we had to evacuate everybody. We went actually to the gym at the neighborhood because it's a big gym where we had a lot of people. But yeah, thankfully this year not yet. But keep fingers crossed because it's getting closer.
Yeah, that's a super nice part of the world. Malibu, Calabasas. My brother and I rode our bikes down A1, the main highway there, all the way from Canada down. So that part of the world always stood out as, looking out onto the beach, and super nice there. But yeah, let's just launch right in. You've got an enormous history. We could talk for 2, 3, 4 hours just about your MMA career alone. But that, reading back into your history, I didn't realize that you had asthma growing up. And you sent me one of the O2 trainers. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But, that stood out to me myself growing up with asthma, trying to overcome that. To go to the SEAL teams was, almost impossible. But yeah, tell us a little bit about that. That's, here it is. Years later, you're this, MMA fighter. That's a pretty long road right there to go from asthma to the MMA.
To MMA, yeah. No, I had severe asthma and severe eczema. They go hand in hand. So I got really bad eczema on my hands, covered arms, face, everywhere. Yeah. And I had severe asthma and a severe asthma attacks. Every 5, 6 weeks, I would be a week in bed, not able to eat, because I couldn't breathe. Now, I was doing already track and field. I wanted to become, believe it or not, the next Bruce Jenner, because he was decathlon. That was my thing. He was the 1976 gold medalist. And so that was my goal. And I was hard on this way. Already when I was young, I was doing really well. I have a record that still stands now when I was 12 years old. So everything went well. But of course, the 1500 meters, 800 meters, those kind of parts of decathlon were hard for me. Now, I went to breathing classes also each month or so. A doctor or an assistant at the doctor's office, he would teach me how to breathe, because a lot of people raise their shoulders, you have to breathe with your core. Anyway, What happened was that always after an asthma attack, for a week in bed or 8 days in bed, and I would resume my track and field, I would break my running times. And it drove me nuts why that was. And I thought maybe it's the medication I'm taking, maybe I should take that time when I compete. But then when I went to one of those breathing classes, I saw a big poster on the wall of a drawing of a pair of lungs. And as a kid, well, as an adult as well, you think that a lung infection is in your lungs, but it's not. It's in the airways that go to the lungs. And it showed a healthy airway and it showed an infected airway. That was it. I was 14 and I saw it. I go, I've been working out my lungs with resistance. I've been pulling air in through this little tiny area, breathing in, for 6 or for 7, 8 days straight, 24/7, because it was all night that day. So unknowingly, I was working out my lungs. That's what I thought. I thought in the early days that your lungs were doing the work, not knowing that the breathing muscles are doing actually the work for you. But that was it, and I got a washer, for bolts and washers. I stopped experimenting with that, putting it in front of my teeth, tried to breathe in through the hole, but it's of course super dangerous because if you open your mouth and shoots in your lung while you're dead, if you can't Heimlich it out, if it bypasses one of those bronchial tubes, that's it, you're dead. So, but it always stuck in my head. And then many years later, I was talking about it. Every time you talk about it at a party, when somebody talks about their invention, there's always this would come up. And then people start calling me and they say, man, you got to make that thing. That is a really smart idea. If you can control the air intake and make you very strong. So finally I made it. That's about 10 years ago. Start training with it within 3 weeks. So imagine this. I had to carry an inhaler with me everywhere I went, still till this day, 10 years ago, everywhere.
Wow.
Every
Wow.
single fight, I would spray open my lungs. If I would sit outside, I sneeze violently 3 times, I have to open my lungs. Exercise induced, have to open my lungs constantly. You know,
Right.
so 3 weeks with Auto Trainer, completely gone. I go, holy crap, we've got up to something here now. So I sent one to my buddy in Holland who has asthma as well. 8 days later, he calls. He's selling him now in Holland because he said, I want to sell my wife and my asthma is going. I go, dude, we're onto something, you know, this is cool. And that's, you know, slowly but surely, because it looks very rinky-dink. I just did it actually when you guys called because I thought it was now late. I was just doing it. I was still sweating from it. I was just doing the exercise, but it just, this is it. And people go like that. I go, yeah, but look at the weight. What a weight can do for you, right? You got a stupid weight, and that little stupid thing can train your body. And this is weight training for your breathing muscles.
Right.
So that's it. And I started making it, and then I started getting a ton of content, and suddenly we got a push. Because the first 8 years, people thought it was a gimmick. You know, it's cheap. Look at this thing. It's a cheap thing, and whatever they said. I had a competition with the competition of mine. You know, with these masks, these guys that walk about, they start putting out things that mine was bad because it was only controlling the air in. But I knew this was the key to success. So then I had a patent for this thing. So now suddenly when all these, then a really bad review came out from my competition. And my lawyer is calling me, my lawyer. He calls me, he says, hey, did you read that review? I said, well, what? Well, about that product. I said, it's a bad review, right? He said, how do you know? I said, because you can't control air in and out. If you do resistance both ways, and I mean simultaneously, separated, it's good, but not simultaneously, it's not good for you. I said, do me a favor, find that guy who wrote that article, and I'm going to send him a note to trainer. He goes, do you want to do that? Because what if he writes a bad review? I said, we're curing asthma right now. I mean, my asthma is gone. It's not going to be a bad review. He calls the guy, tells him actually he's representing me, and the guy goes, oh, Bas Rutten. Oh, we already used that. This guy trains 4 Olympic gold medalists and a silver medalist. Now suddenly I had 6 or 9 published medical journals that backed up all my claim because he has all that. He's this freaky scientist with an IQ of 156, I believe. So now suddenly I got all that information coming out. People start realizing, oh, you don't have any homework. Oh, well, here's published medical journals. And published medical journals, so for the people that know at home, it's clinically proven. It's not like a dumb product when you buy it says clinically tested. Don't buy that product. Because what was the result of that test? That's what you want to know. It's just a way for them to put the word clinically in it. And most of us are like, oh, clinically, it's clinically tested. Yeah, but what was the result of that test? Because if it would have been good, it would have said clinically proven. So don't buy the product. Published medical journals means it's clinically proven. It's on a government website. I can doctor that. You know, it is what it is. So now suddenly I start getting a push. Now big people start using it, and suddenly it started coming to life. But now with COVID, actually, the last 7-8 months is doing pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I didn't know that past story. Saw the O2 trainer. It got in yesterday, and I was reading online, reading about your story, and that's absolutely remarkable that you were able to overcome and make your way into the MMA. And so, I mean, talk about that a little bit. How do you go from an asthmatic kid to all of a sudden practicing martial arts and then actually doing good at it? I mean, that's
well, everything is pushing, right? Everything is like I learned how to push when I was my entire life, from my 6 years old till I was 15, 16. I've been having a heavy asthma. So, okay, 1 second. I got distracted. I had a lot of background noise. That's why. I'm sorry. I lost it. I heard all this background noise suddenly. So, what was the question?
Yeah, no, we were.
Oh, no, okay. I got it. So whatever was, it's just pushing. It's just pushing yourself. So I was used to pushing myself. Like if I had to go to the restroom, well, I was one flight of stairs up. Okay, that's going to be 55 minutes work for me because I can't just walk down the stairs. I have to do 2 steps. I sit down. And I slide 1 step down, I have to rest. I slide 1 step down, I have to rest. You take 3 steps, just regular walking, you have to rest. I mean, your stamina is completely gone. I mean, I do this, and I go, now I have to catch my breath for just my arms too fast. So going
Yeah.
to the restroom. So that put the, I did it from 6 till like at least 14 years old. A lot. So if I knew I had to go to the restroom, well, I knew it was going to be a battle. So I just brought that into when I started competing, and then thankfully there were good inhalers, because if asthma induced or exercise induced asthma, once it closes and you open it up, it will stay open for a couple hours. So in the dressing room, you close, you start hitting the Thai pads and the focus bits, whatever you're doing, your lungs will close after a minute. You have to open them up, and then you can simply go. In Thai boxing, when I started competing in Thai boxing, I was very afraid of getting tired all the time, of course, because it was mimicking what I had in Tibet. So I just told myself, once I came to, I lost the fight because of stamina in Thai boxing, and then I told myself, I went to Japan, and I had to find a way to get inside my head, because I needed to love this, because I fixed myself with a lot of things, just mental power. And I said, you know what, I'm going to enjoy stamina from now on. I'm going to love it. So every time when I would get really tired, I would start screaming, more, I want it more, I want it more, get harder, get harder, get harder. And suddenly it just caught, boom. And suddenly I needed to get tired. And if I wouldn't get really tired, I wouldn't have a good workout. So I become addicted to the getting tired feeling. And that's when, everything started blossoming, because I was fighting in Japan. You have to understand this. When I went to Japan, it was in '93. I had no clue. There was no weigh-in the day before the fight. And I thought it was off. You know what? There's a Japanese guy I'm fighting. I know that they're honest, so that will be okay. So the next day I arrived, this tall Japanese guy walks over to me, shakes my hand, and say, oh, hey, how are you the promoter? He says, no, I'm fighting you tonight. And you say, you're fighting me tonight? Yeah. I go, aren't you a little big? And he goes, what's your weight? He goes, 105 kilos. 105 kilos. I go, yeah, what are you? I said, I'm 90. And then the promoter walked up, and I go, like, is he not too big? I mean, we go, no, Mr. Rutten, we don't have weight classes. Everybody fights everybody. I go, oh, great. I said, okay, so how many minutes, how many rounds are we fighting? He goes, 1. And I go, how many minutes? He goes, 30. And I go, great. But I go, like, what the heck is going on? So, you needed a lot of stamina there, because, you don't know how tough the fight's going to be. It's a 30-minute match without any breaks, but that mindset, just pushing and pushing and pushing, just helping. And that was it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's so interesting. I've had read that, where there was the big weight disparity between those fights that you had. That, I mean, so much of it, so many of us now, we turn on the UFC or what have you, or we watch Bellator, and they're in specific weight classes. So yeah, that's insane that you're fighting someone, 40, 50 pounds more than you. That's unheard of these days. It's not sanctioned. Yeah. It's not sanctioned.
Yeah, but nowadays it's different also. In the beginning, it was the big guys didn't have any stamina. So you just have to weather the storm for like a minute and a half, 2, 3 minutes. That's it. And then you could just annihilate these guys because they run out of gas. You see, now it's a different story. Now, in the beginning, you have these big guys who didn't know anything. Now you got 265-pound guys with black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and who know how to strike. Trust me, weight does make a difference right now, so because they're such a highly trained athletes, I got away with it because I was a really good striker and was really good on the ground. Wrestling always sucked, but that didn't matter because that was fun when they inducted me into the UFC Hall of Fame. They said because in Pancos there's different rules. Like I had over 42 submissions, yet I never took anybody down. So that was a cool little stat. That meant that they would take me down, but then I would submit them. So I just made sure that I was really good in reversals and submissions and in striking. And wrestling, I knew I couldn't catch up with that anyway. I mean, these guys here in America, they start doing this when they're 4 years old. In Holland, we have schools. Yeah. We have 2, 3 wrestling schools in the entire country. So it's very hard to find wrestling in Holland.
Yeah, talk about that just a little bit more, because, in reading your history and how you started out with Taekwondo, and then you had in karate, and then even kickboxing. And so then, you got picked, you had the Japanese pro wrestlers that came to the Netherlands, saw you, scouted you as a talent and brought you over there. And so talk a little bit about that. I mean, going from your karate, Taekwondo, all of that, then going to Pancrase, that style, if you watch that style, I mean, there is a lot of striking. There is a lot the ground game and the heel hooks and all that. That's a big jump to not have. Or you were very good in certain skills, which you talked about a little bit, but expand more on that. That's a steep curve to get in a ring with a guy fit not only 40 pounds heavier than you, but having that ground game and all. That's so important these days.
Well, I'm a very sore loser. You want to play
yeah.
lose 3 times in a row, I get angry. Now I can control it, of course, because I'm older, 55 years old. But I always want to win, whatever we do. I just my mindset.
Yeah.
So if you come in and you knock somebody out, and you knock the second guy out, and suddenly your third fight you lost by way of submission, that kind of sucks. I never was down though. I was never the guy who went, oh my God, I lost. I always saw it as a learning experience. And then, I won a few more fights by knockout. I knew one submission, the guillotine choke, because they wanted to take me down. Well, that's the thing. And that one I knew very well. I won a whole bunch of fights with that because that was the only thing I knew, but I knew it very well. So I won a few more fights. I lost again by submission. And I won a few more fights, and then I lost by third time by way of submission. And that really bothered me. That was for me like, okay, it's either I'm going to stop this. I'm not going to compete anymore because, I might get lucky. I might get a title. But then I lose it when I defend the title. And you're a real champion, I always say, if you defend your title, because everybody can get lucky one time, right? That's how I see it. So I better learn this game. And then I became vocal. Then I started asking everybody, everywhere I went, at gyms. I said, hey, if somebody wants to train with me. And I found this one guy, Leon Van Dijk is his name. And he was 19 years old at the time, very strong, very powerful striker, and a very a good athlete. He understood also things fast. And what we started to do, we just started watching grappling matches, and we just watch fights, and then, of course, instructions. And we start training together. We just start on our knees and start rolling. And and suddenly, I just fell in love with it. I suddenly realized the possibilities, what was going on, and I became obsessed. And once I became obsessed, that was it, because then I wanted to do 2 times, 3 times a day. My striking, I put that to the side. I did like 4 times a week, only Thai pads for my stamina, because nobody was going to stand with me anyway. I knew I was going to knock them out, so they were all going to take
That was your background,
So I'm only doing submissions now. And that was the coolest part, because my last fight I lost by submission. The next 8 fights after that, I won by submission. So I won with submission control, but the other one, 7 finishes by way of submission. So I actually never lost a fight anymore after that. I won my last 22. I didn't lose in my last 22. You see, so it's just putting your mind to something and saying, hey, listen, I don't like this losing. And then, you start working out. Now, but I work out hard. No, not if you compare it to me. I know there's guys who work harder than me. I understand that. But I'm a really weird guy, dude. If I go, I'll go. And I'll do anything in my power. I'll give you an example. I was a badass karate guy. I went to my first Thai boxing class. Oh, my hands were here. So once they start hitting my head, what happens? You bring your hands too high, too fast, right? Because you can't bring them slow up if they hit. You got to go fast. You overcommit, exposing the body. I was introduced to the liver shot in the first class. Boom, I was done. I go, holy crap, and it was because my hands were not were hit. So I went home. I spent 3.5, 4 hours in front of a mirror. Bang, 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 bang. It was the only thing I did.
Wow.
Drink coffee, drink a tea, come back, keep going. And my girlfriend at the time goes, you're insane. I said, no, I'm not insane. This will not happen again. The next day I went back, I cleaned out 80% of their gym. They thought I was playing a trick on them, that I already knew how to box. I was just acting that I didn't know how to box. I said, no, I spent 3.5, 4 hours in front of a mirror yesterday. And they look at me and go, yeah. Try 50 minutes. Good luck. You see, but I get this obsessive compulsive behavior. Once I want something, I want to fix it now. And if anything in my power that I will do to fix it now, that will happen. And if it doesn't work today, I'm trying to get a good night's sleep, but tomorrow it will be fixed. So it's always been my mindset. And that comes, I think, from all my diseases and all being bullied and people telling me I was nothing, and and start using that as fuel and push.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I was getting ready to say is that, I'm seeing a pattern here where, growing up with childhood asthma and you having to push so hard to overcome that, later on in your MMA career, when you were submitted, you were able to turn that adversity where most people, you know, you came to that turning point where most people would have said, hey, maybe this is not for me. You know, obviously very rough, brutal, hard on the body. I mean, you know, broken bones, what have you in MMA. So you as an overcomer, again, use that similar idea, similar process of that experience of what you went through with childhood asthma. You turned an adversity or an obstacle, or that was your obstacle, and you turned that into eventual success. So yeah, that's amazing. So yeah, and you had your career just continued on though. My first exposure to you was watching you as a commentator and on fights against that. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, that you know, you got a lot of fans who, you know, I wasn't watching, you know, early MMA, but that, you know, later on, once I started getting turned on to UFC, I went back and I'm watching all these videos, and there's so much out there that for people to see. And I mean, you were one of the people that we, you know, that we knew of, that was helping explain the sport. I mean, for those that don't know about those early days with UFC, talk a little bit about that. How was that to be one of the early pioneers of the UFC?
Well, at the UFC, that was great because that's why I got inducted in the pioneer section for the UFC.
Yeah.
But what good was also, like you said, in Japan, the Pride Fighting Championship, they start coming along. And that was around 98, I would say. And I had Mark Kerr, Marco Ruas. There was a bunch of guys that I was training, and they fought in Pride Fighting Championships. And Mark Kerr was the star at that moment. He was the main attraction, main event all the time. And he was just a freak athlete. But I was just before 2000, I believe. I was in the dressing room, and I never heard anything about comedy. I never knew anything. I mean, you'll find out. I was so completely lost with that stuff. So I'm watching the TV. So in the dressing room, the TV is on. So you can see the fights that are happening at that moment. So you can, you know, relax before the fight. And I'm watching, and I'm sitting with some people from the company, from Pride Fighting Championship. And he goes, oh, look at him. He's getting gets him in an armbar. And they're looking, and they go like, what do you mean? It doesn't do an armbar. I said, give it 10 seconds. And then 10 seconds later, suddenly, boom, they got him in an armbar. And he go, how did you know that? I said, you can see I saw his setup. You know, he was distracted.
Yeah.
And I saw the setup. Oh, good. So the next fight is, and I believe that was Carlos Newton against Sakuraba. And I remember Newton sitting on, Sakuraba sitting on all fours, and Newton sits behind him, and I go, and his leg is in between his legs. I go, and I know Sakuraba, he's going to roll him into a knee bar. I go, oh, he's going to get him into a knee bar. He's got to watch out now. And again, you know, well, why would you say that? He's so close to a knee bar, and he rolled him into a knee bar. And that was it. They said, hey, listen, we start the tournament in this year. That was in 2000. Did you ever think about commentating? And I go, no, never thought about it, but I would love to try it. And I was so green that when I went to Japan, I didn't bring a suit. I had no clue that we had to bring a suit. I'm sitting there in my freaking Hawaii shorts and a Hawaii flower shirt. I'm waiting for the bus to go to the event. These people who were in the dressing room who actually hired me said, where do you have your suits already in the thing? I go, what suit? And they go, your suit. And I go, nobody told me to bring a suit. I said, are you kidding, boss? You know the commentators were. I said, I have to tell you the truth. I never paid attention to the commentator. I'm sorry. You know, so now it's like, oh crap, what do we do? You know, so we had to come up with a different way of opening the show. So what happened was my buddy, who did bring a suit, of course, because he was already a commentator, Steven Quadros, he will be in the arena. I would backstage. I would sit in my flower shirt or my flip-flops, and I had these geishas around me, fanning me down and feeding me grapes. And I'm telling war stories. You know, there I was, 12 guys, they're all coming for me, but you know me, I'm telling these messed up, you know, just funny stories. And then I have an interaction with the guy inside the arena, and that's how we opened the show. And then once we were on show, it didn't matter. Once we were doing the show, it didn't matter because we were not going to be on camera anyway anymore. But because we did that, the people in America really loved the opening because it was different. It was not, hey, two stick mics and welcome to Pride Fight. This was, we had this little movie clip going on that we were doing. So now they wanted to do that again. So from that moment on, we started opening private fighting championships always with like a 3-4 minute video, funny clip of a way of opening the show. And that, you know, that people really started enjoying that. And that's what a lot of people actually started tuning in for as well. Because you see, this is always fun, you know, all these things, they get born out of something that went wrong. You know, we were forced to do something, and then it became suddenly a cool thing. Like, for instance, my student, Dwayne Ludwig, Dwayne Bang Ludwig from Bang Muay Thai. He was my student for a long time. We're still in good contact. He's like a son to me, this guy. And he's fighting this guy, Chet, at the King of the Cage, and the guy had over 2,000 street fights. And that's what they claimed. And I go, well, if he had over 2,000 street fights, he's a very aggressive man. You know, I think he needs some anger therapy, because 2,000 street fights, if you think about it, that's what, like how many years in a row? Almost 6 years, every day you fight. That's a very angry person, you know? So I told Dwayne, I said, this guy doesn't know anything. You know, he tries to be cool. I said, don't worry about it. You're going to drill this guy. You're going to knock him out. But Dwayne is saying, I said, do me a favor. If there's a moment that you feel that you get put in the crane, and I want you to do it. And he looks at me like I'm completely crazy. I say, trust me, when you do this, it will bring up your name. And during the fight, yeah, he's demoralizing this guy, bang, bang, bang. And suddenly he steps back and he does the crane. And the freaking audience goes crazy. And look now, it's his logo. You know, it's the crane, wow, as you can see. You see, so these things, they get born from something that you just say, and suddenly, boof, it is there, and now everybody knows it. But that's how it started.
Yeah, wow. So, I mean, talk about that a little bit, where you're talking about the moment of a fight. You know, I personally just wanted to ask you, what was the toughest fight that you were in, that where you really had to dig deep to be able to pull off that submission, or, you know, be able to get the win? I mean, what was the one fight that was, if you can narrow it down? I know, you know, every fight is different. Every fight, just getting in the ring to begin with is tough enough with all the training and, you know, all of that. But I mean, just if you could, you know, expand on that a little bit.
Oh, well, there's two. There's one of them, and I was on I was giving it to the opponent. That was the first guy I lost. It was Funaki Masakatsu, and then I had a rematch a couple of years later with him. He was the first guy who submitted me. Toe hold. And for the people at home, toe hold is not what you think it is. They hold. Yeah. No, I saw somebody break a shin bone in half with a toe hold. So it's a very painful thing. Anyway, now I was a completely different fighter. Now I knew my submission game, and I was going to face him. And I was my game plan was, I'm going to wait 15 minutes because they announce every 5 minutes that 5 minutes have passed. He never fought more than 15 minutes. So I always did these things to throw up their equilibrium, to do something to them. I thought, you know, I'm just going to hold off for 15 minutes. And then once he hears that 15 minutes have passed, it might do something to his mind, because he goes, wait a minute, this is the longest fight I've been in. And maybe, you know, it disturbs the flow, whatever it is. I always try to do little things like that. And then he made the mistake of, before the fight, he comes to me, and he was always a very nice guy, but I think it was to hype up the audience. And he stands right in front of me here, and he slits his throat in.
Oh, man.
Dude, and I'm looking at my manager.
Disrespect.
Yeah, I go, oh, I'm going to kill him now.
Oh,
and
man.
my manager goes, I go, no, you got to stay calm, boss. Watch out. I said, don't worry, I stay calm. I said, but you watch. If I tag this guy, I'm going to annihilate him. What the heck? You know, I was so angry about that. I go, why would you do that? And then, you know, in the fight, we're fighting, and it's around 12 minutes. And I'm sitting on my knees, and he kicks me. And I blocked the kick, but it's an illegal kick. So my game plan went out the window right away, because 10 seconds later, I knocked him out because I was angry. So I knock him down, boom, he's on the ground. So I think, okay, this is okay. He's just bleeding. He gets back up. Boom, boom, boom. We start fighting again. But then every time when I knocked him down, and in Pancras, there was different rules. There was a 5-down knockdown rule. So 5 times is the maximum, or submission. So for instance, if I would get you in a submission, but you could touch the rope, I had to let go. That would count the same. That's why when I have 14 submission victories, but in real, I have 43 submissions, because you spend a lot of time in the ring. That's why these fighters became so good. Anyway, I would drop him, and he was out, and I thought he would be out, and then the whole audience started, Funaki. This is the freaking Budokan. This is like the cheap trick, I want you to want me. You know, where they played that song, that's a big place. And he got back up. And then I knocked him down again, and then people again, I get goosebumps now. it was the wildest thing, and he kept coming up. And then the fourth, I knocked him down the fourth time, and that was, I literally grabbed him by the hair, and I kneed him as hard as I could in the face, and that was it. He was completely gone. His nose was broke, both cheekbones were broke. I mean, I really went to town on him. Now, so that was a tough fight because stamina-wise, I was getting tired, you know. I was unloading. My palms were black and blue from hitting him. I had bruises on my knees for kneeing him in the face. I mean, it was crazy. And every time he got up. So for me, I always say that's my best fight, but they say also for him, that was his best fight because he really showed the heart of a fighter there. And then many years later, when I fought in the UFC, of course, Kevin Randleman, you know, that was really tough because Kevin, who's a great wrestler, he took me down immediately, bashed my face in. I mean, my nose was flat on my face, broke. And I mean, I lost the contact and I have -5.5. That means you can, if you look at me and you just look down, I can't tell that you're looking down, you know, because I'm a little blind.
So you lost half your vision.
Half the vision. And the other eye filled up with blood, you know, because I was on my back the whole time, swallowing my own blood the whole time because my nose was broke. So I was freaking swallowing like crazy. But, you know, slowly but surely, there was a restart. There was a kick to the liver. And that's what he later told me. He said, oh, I really felt that one. And then he started just holding me down. And then I started working from the bottom. And I started hitting him and striking with elbows from the bottom. And I eventually got me the victory. It was a split decision. It was very close. Him and I became good friends. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago. Pneumonia, so weird. You know, this guy was such a freaking animal. And then, you know, to go out like that, I mean, nobody expected it. But that was a tough fight. That was also the physically most strong person I felt. You know, like when you want to move him, there's nothing you can do because they're just one block of muscle, you know, and he was completely pinning me down on the ground. So I had to skip out and start elbowing the top of his head. You know, I had to do things in order to start scoring points. And yeah, thankfully I got it, but it was very close.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that, you know, just talking about the brutality of MMA and in your career and having the injuries that you've had. I mean, you look like you're a fit guy now, but I mean, talk a little bit about that. I mean, that's tough to make it through as many fights as you did. And I know, talk a little bit about, you have some injuries now that I've heard, and you know, how does that affect you? But you look fit, you look good. I mean, you're out in Southern California. I mean, talk a little bit about that. I mean, what's your lifestyle like now? How do you train? How do you stay healthy after having such a brutal career?
Oh, well, I never had big injuries. My biggest injury was tendonitis. Well, I call it tendonitis. It's not. It's some form of that, which is very painful. It would start in my arms, which is really weird because I had that already when I did track and field when I was 14 years old. So I was very fortunate that it didn't come up sooner in fighting. Somehow it waited till the end, but that was extremely painful. If that would happen to me 4 weeks before the fight, my training camp would be down the drain because then I would have 2 times a day, 45 minutes without pain. But then it starts, and you can put a clock on it. It's 45 minutes, perfect times. And then I will be an hour and a half, 2 hours, insane pain. Like I could not eat from the pain. I would lose weight from the pain. And you have to train. So every day, twice a day, you have to go through that crap. And that was really hard. But, you know, as soon as I stopped, that was gone. Now, then when I I did a TV show, a fight scene in a TV show, that got me my neck problem because there was a moment that I was upside down and I dropped on top of my head, spiked my nerves. And then, you know, I suddenly, as you can see, my arm, see, it's all gone here. It's all atrophy. Right. You know, so, but this, like what you see here, that was the entire arm. So it starts coming very slow. I'm talking, this is over 10 years now, right? And so I went from not be able to pull the trigger of a gun. No, imagine, I could do 9-1 on pull-ups.
Right.
Competing. Going from that, not able to pull the trigger of a gun is a very scary thing. Not grabbing the milk out of the fridge. I grab a glass and the glass would keep standing there. I go, what's going on? You know, zero power in the arm. That was very freaky. 4 neck surgeries later, start slowly but surely coming back. I think I lost it. This won't come back. I don't really care anymore. I got my hand back, from that moment when I got my hand back, I said, I'm good, God. Don't worry about it. You know, everything is good now, you know, because I was always complaining, But, you know, then you see a guy like Nick Newell, the guy with a congenital amputee, who was fighting mixed martial arts and who was freaking really good. And then I'm complaining about my hand is not working. He doesn't have a lower arm. And he's doing what he's doing. You know, I can at least grab somebody. So I said, you know, I got to stop complaining. This is stupid right now. I got my hand back. I'm very happy. Knees, that came after my last fight in 2006. After 7 years, I decided to do one more fight. I was out of money. I was a heavy drinker at the time. And they asked me, would pay me good money for, and I said, let me find out, because I didn't train for 3.5 years. So I started training for a week. And I called him. I said, yeah, I feel good. I can do it. I thought all my injuries were gone, you know. And since I was heavy drinking, I took the fight because I knew that if I would take the fight, that would stop me automatically from drinking, you know. So then I would crush that problem at least. And then I would have some money in the bank as well. So I started training, and this time I went different. I just started training with jump soles, something I never did. It's like to get your calves really strong for explosive movement. And I think it did something to my kneecaps. I can't say 100%, but I think it did. It scraped my kneecaps bald because I've never had that problem. The only change that I made was those jump soles. And my kneecaps were bald, and that is very painful. Like sitting, standing, that till this day, you know, that's painful. But again, you know, it's pain, whatever, right? It won't hurt. That's what I always say. Just deal with it. That's what I'm doing. But I'm kind of hoping, because sometimes, you know, when they put a cortisone shot in there for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, I can walk stairs without pain. And let me tell you, that happened. You know, you go like, oh man, this is life for real. This is crazy. It's so good. So hopefully they find something for it, because it's a very hard problem in the knee. It's actually the worst problem in the knee to have. Knee replacement, all that stuff, that's the easy stuff. The kneecap is very hard because you can't pop it out and put a new one in. It doesn't work like that. You know, you have to drill a hole. You want to drill a hole because then it becomes weaker. If it breaks, you're really screwed. So I'm waiting for the latest technology now. There is already something out there. A friend of mine already did it, but I want to wait like 1 more year to see what happens to him. And then he's the guinea pig. And if it's good, I might do it as well.
Yeah. And so, hopefully you're able to get, get that treatment performed. You know, obviously that can be something that can definitely improve the quality of your life dramatically. But talk a little bit. So now you're living in Thousand Oaks. Your gym is, I guess, right up the road from your house.
Right here.
The gym, yeah, it's very close. The gym is very close to where I live. So I'm really 5 minutes up. I'm at home.
So so are you coaching there now, or do you how did that all work with COVID and the pandemic, being a gym owner?
Yeah, those are really good. Hey Jay, please turn your mic on mute, buddy.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, boss. Sorry, buddy.
Go ahead. So COVID killed us, you know. It's we still have the gym. We're very fortunate, you know, that we have a great clientele that are still paying us, and then we said, you know, whatever, you know, if you keep paying us, whatever we, you know, it will be added at the end of your contract. So don't worry, you're not going to lose a thing. Only you're going to be longer with us. We got to hope. But thankfully, we have a lot of people doing it. We can't teach in the gym anymore. They came to warn us twice. Third time, they was going to start getting penalties. So we closed the gym. I'm teaching those still at the parking lot, and we got a bunch of people coming, 28, 30 people last Thursday. And yeah, so at least it's at the parking lot close to the gym. I'm telling people, just come over. You don't have to pay. Don't worry about it. We'll see about paying once the gym opens up, and if you want to stay or not, and if you want to have some just for free classes, come over, you know, have some fun. So that's what I'm doing right now. And then, of course, I work out myself. You know, I got a kicking bag here that I use for my stamina, and then at the gym, of course, if I go by myself, I can train at the gym because I'm by myself at the gym. So I have a body action system, then a punching device that I do that together with an audio workout. It's a very hard conditioning workout. And needless to say, if I want to do weights, I do it at the gym as well. Although I like I do punching routines with cable machines. That's one of my favorite things to do because it increases your power of punches so much. You know, you talk your upper body, everything is core attacked, and everything is to deliver a certain punch. So that's something I like to do a lot. Hitting a back, I don't do anymore because of all the plates I have in my neck. It comes back too hard, and hurts me. So I just hit the body action system, which you can hit. There's no impact, you know. So there's a little bit of impact, but it doesn't send the power back, so to say.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it a little bit before, but yeah, let's let all of our viewers know about the O2 device and where they can pick up more information about this. Now, one thing that I'll be doing, I'm going to do a review or show this being used, being a current asthma, I say a past asthma person, but I've had it as recently as last month. But so I'm going to try the device and work out with it. We'll have you using it comes with a manual. And but yeah, where can they find this? Find the O2 trainer.
O2trainer.com, and otherwise just
Google of course.
Bas Rutten lung trainer, and it will pop up. Yeah, I go to the website. There's a Facebook page, Bas Rutten's O2 Bootcamp. Just become a member of that. We have over 4,000 members there. A lot of them are users. And if you need to know a question, I know personally maybe 5 guys on there, and the rest is all real people. So, you know, you'll figure out really fast who are my guys, and then you can ask them any question. Ask people with COPD, anxiety, back problems. Who knew this? Fixing back problems is the craziest thing. I mean, asthma, you can literally pop the question yourself, and everybody will know, and they will give you an honest answer. And there's not one bad review on that website, because everybody who does it, like I do it every day. Like I just told you, I just did it myself. I film myself doing it in time lapses, and I post it every single day. Now understand this, I started doing that in 2018, May 2018, when we were on a vacation in Hawaii. I started doing it every day, and I started posting it. So people can actually go all the way back on my Facebook page, and they can see that I've been doing that every single day. I might have missed 40 times, you know, but that's over 2.5 years. So that's it's not a lot. When you have to do 30 repetitions a certain way. It's important for the people. If you watch this, don't be the guy who go, I know how this works. You don't know how this works. Very simple. Go watch the freaking video, because it's so important, because every single time people say, what can I find? I'm doing this and this and this. I said, that's not what I'm telling you to do. I'm posting every freaking day about it. Every day I say, watch these videos. It's important. It's important that you do it this way. If 4 gold medalists do it like that, guess what? Do it like that. I didn't come up with this. Really smart people came up with that.
Do it the right way.
It's a big difference. Back breathing. What is back breathing? Well, your back muscles breathe for you. Oh, do you know that? No, I didn't know. A lot of people don't know. You know that your lungs don't do anything for the people at home? They're just 2 bags. There's no muscle in a lung. It's just 2 bags. They don't do anything. So how do they open up? There's a vacuum between the body and the lungs that if you expand your chest, that's how they open up. And people go, what a vacuum. How can I visualize that? Imagine your lungs are taped to the inside of your body.
Yeah.
They don't do anything. The only way to open them up is to expand your chest. And that is how you breathe. That's how little you breathe. Now, opening up, you do with the intercostal muscles, your outer intercostal muscles, and your diaphragm, of course. Your diaphragm is the skirt steak. If you eat a skirt steak in a restaurant, that's actually the diaphragm. It's a thin muscle, but it's a very strong muscle, and it sits in the middle of your body, like just below your rib cage. Where the bottom of your rib cage is, that's where your diaphragm is located.
Right.
It's like this. And if you inhale, it expands, it flattens out. Because it flattens out, it opens up your chest together with your outer intercostal muscles, which are the muscles in between your ribs. They open up your chest. Now, for the people, so you have a little bit of an idea. I'm working now, and she became a good friend of mine, Dr. Belisa Vranich. I didn't know her in the beginning. And somebody set us up. And I went to her office on 5th Avenue in New York. And the first thing she did with me is measuring my chest expansion. So I knew exactly what she was doing, because the more I can expand my chest, the easier it is for me to pull my air into my lungs. And she was measuring, and she goes like, no. And she said, do that one more time. And I exhale, inhale, and she measured me again and says, one moment. She runs out, she comes back with another doctor. And I go, okay, what's going on? She said, well, if I don't bring him, he's not going to believe what I just measured.
Yeah.
Because my expansion, normally they break the record like maximum 1/4 inch, most of the time a 1/8. You just broke it more than 2 inches. She said, we've never seen anything, never any chest expansion like that. Then we figured out it's from the freaking O2 trainer, because it trains the outside muscles. Now, what the O2 trainer also does is, you have to understand, these are all tests, you can read people, 95% of the people are breathing wrong. meaning they use the shoulders when they breathe.
Right.
4 to 6 of these breaths are the same as one belly breath using your core.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. So imagine if you want to try to catch your breath doing this, or you go just using your core. It's a big difference. I had a SWAT officer. This is 100% true story. I always tell people because it sounds too good to be true. It's not true. He trained one time with the auto trainer. The next day he wasn't running with the auto trainer. He broke his running time. And people go, that's crazy. That's bullshit. I said, it's not. What happened was he was breathing wrong. The auto trainer, if you force yourself to breathe into a tiny hole, you have to breathe your core because your shoulder raise is not going to pull the air in. Yeah. And just doing that, now he improved your breathing immediately just by doing 3 minutes. You know, it does wonders for you. Okay, so go back really fast so you have an idea. In May 2018, I took screen 11. And it took me 3 minutes and 45 seconds to complete my 30 repetitions. That you have to do every day, 30 repetitions. Just for fun, last April, I said, let's see what I do now, what time I do it now with screen 11. 3 minutes, 45 seconds. Now I do it in 55 seconds.
Right.
That is a 75% increase. It's bizarre. And people go like, oh, that's not true. You can see all the videos. You can write, you see me 2 years ago writing what screen I'm using. It's all on Facebook. Everything is tracked. You can see I'm telling the truth. But going from 3:45 to 55 seconds, that was a big one for us. And then suddenly, of course, the Olympic gold medalists started coming, the published medical journals, Belisa Vranic started talking about it. Now we got squat, we got SEALs, I mean, the SEAL guys. I mean, everybody was doing it. They do it at 10,000 feet also. They work out with the crazy thing. They're insane.
Yeah, so that's, so I like that analogy you're talking about. This is just like lifting weights for your lungs, essentially. I mean,
yeah, but you don't know. Okay, let's explain to the people, how do you get stamina? Because you think, oh, you just train hard. Yeah, but what is the reason? What is the reason that you get better stamina? If you think about it, I never knew this. But do you know? I mean, a lot of people don't know. You know what it is? You train a muscle over and over again, and the more effective it becomes, the less oxygen it uses. Right. So you work out your muscles over and over and over again, they become more efficient. And once they become more efficient, loses less oxygen, and that's why your stamina increases. Right? So that is how to train your body, getting in shape. What people don't know, and not the average viewer doesn't know, I didn't know, is that you have over 10 pounds of breathing muscles. The muscle, the diaphragm, the intercostal muscles, your core muscles. Those muscles you cannot work out. You need to work them out with resistance. You know, it's like doing a biceps curl with no weight. Sure, you're still lifting your forearm, so there's a little bit of resistance, but then you're going to have to do it a couple of hundred times.
but adding 5 pounds, adding 10 pounds, adding more weight. Yeah, more resistance,
weight training for your lungs, for the muscles that you never use. So if you are going into a training camp for 2 months and you work out every single muscle in your body, but you forget your breathing muscles, that's, no, Dr. Belisa says that feeling of gassing, that is literally oxygenated blood moving away from your limbs to support your breathing muscles, because your breathing muscles are the #1 priority in your body. 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 minutes, you're dead. So that goes right away. All the attention goes to your breathing muscles to breathe. And that's why you feel, my stamina right now, and I'm pointing here because I got a bag here. That's what I'm kicking the whole time. It's almost not possible. That's how crazy good I'm in shape. And I did it maybe 5 times in the last 2 months, 3 months, stamina. But I'm really tired coming out of my round. In 30 seconds, I caught up. I'm literally going like, man, this is crazy. I'm just blowing my own mind right now. And that's because I started adding the breathing muscles in the back as well. So all around your body, your front and your core, I have people buying this now for abs. They're getting abs and they never had abs.
Yeah, they're working out all the muscles.
All the core muscles. But there's also a back breathing exercise in where you have to breathe in while leaning forward. And then you have to focus on your back muscles to expand. That exercise, that helped me a lot. Once I started doing that, my stamina started increasing even more. So the more you work out all the muscles around your body, the easier it is to open and expand your lungs, and the easier it is to put air in there, you know, and the faster. You can do it at a higher rate as well because you're training those muscles.
Yeah, I currently have a deep breathing practice that I've been doing I've been doing it over the last 10 years, just a box breathing, a 5x5 box breathing that I've been doing. But lately also been adding the Wim Hof breathing with, longer periods of, a minute and a half, 2.5 minutes. I've gotten it up to 3 minutes, what have you. But that's something that I've been intentionally trying to work on, not only as an endurance athlete, but also just from the, reducing anxiety, reducing stress. Just that's my form of meditation. So this is something that I'm definitely going to put into my practice, and I'm going to make a video of this for our listeners, for the Seal Grinder PT group. And I'll post that up just to show them how I'm using it and how it works, and document it like you have with the actual numbers and that they work. So yeah.
Good. I would love that. Yeah, because that's the thing. The proof is always with the people who are doing it right now, and the reviews we have, like I said, you go somewhere. I mean, PTSD and anxiety, I had no clue, but when you think about it, of course, because it's breathing. If you start breathing shallow, that's when you get anxiety starts ramping up, and that's, breathing with your core. And then people with back problems, because it also your diaphragm, it massages your intestines, all that. It's very important muscle to work out, it makes everything better. So yeah, it's a big difference. That feeling of gassing is literally gone with me. That is what I had before, that you can't catch your breath. I don't have that anymore. I have for 30 seconds, I'm tired, but then it's good. I wish that I would have had this thing when I was still competing. I really wish that. I would have been even crazier, I think. But hey, unfortunately, at least we have it now and other people can use it. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, one last question I did want to ask. Now, you're talking about today's athletes or what have you. If you were starting over in MMA today, or if you were talking with a young potential fighter, male or female, that's coming to you to train, what would be your advice? Based on you have this lengthy history and being a commentator and really having a unique lens into fighting. I mean, what would be your advice?
My advice is always have a backup plan.
Yeah.
That's because you have a compound fracture in your leg, that's it, end of your career. And if you didn't have a follow-up plan, you're completely screwed. Oh, boss, you're acting, you did so really well. But I better, because I took acting classes within 3 weeks when I was moving to America, because I knew eventually I was still competing and that's something I wanted. Maybe actor, but maybe fight choreographer or whatever it was, stunts. But I wanted to do something in the acting world, so I figured, I'm going to start taking acting classes already. Just be prepared. Now, those acting classes helped me again in commentating. Now suddenly it's the camera. You're already a little bit used to going on stage. Listen, I remember when I was a fighter, interviews, I was way more nervous for interviews than I was for fights. It's because it's new. And let me tell you rehearsing your lines in the mirror and then going to a big movie set, you cannot even compare that. Now you get 3 cameras in your face. You mess up a thing that's $40,000. Good luck. No pressure. Go. Holy shit. And then okay, what's my line? Suddenly everything becomes very hard. But, you get used to it. You do it more often, and then suddenly you get into it, and then it becomes normal, just like everything in life. But don't believe that it's a profession. Make sure that you train for that profession. You wouldn't go fight with no training. It would make no sense. That's the same as in acting. Sure, it's a little different. It's not physical, but to be a good actor. Because if you're an athlete and you go into a movie and you're a big name athlete and you do your first acting job, everybody will be watching. So if you decide not to take acting classes and to throw that shot away, because if you suck, everybody's going to tell you suck, you're probably not going to get a second movie. You see what I mean? So just there. When I was fighting in Japan the first year, I was still teaching every day. Oh, I still did that for years, but I stopped as a bouncer working. I stopped that. But in the first year, I was still a bouncer. I was still doing all these things to make money because I didn't know if I'm going to break my leg or something's going to happen. I need money to come in for me. So just have a backup plan. That would be my first advice. And my second advice is if you have an injury.
That is gold.
But also if you have an injury and the doctor says take 4 weeks off, I say take 8 weeks off. because we all take 2 weeks off. If the doctor says 4, we do it in 2. And let me tell you, it will catch up with you, and I'm feeling it right now. Just give your body time to heal. What is 2 months on a career? It's nothing, you know. Come back completely healed and then start competing again, or training at least again. So those are my 2 biggest things. And if you want something to go all the way, I would say yes and no. Those are my answers. I don't say maybe. If I say yes, that's a yes. That is not maybe it's going to happen. No, it's going to 100% happen. I will do everything in my power. If it's not going to happen, well, then at least I tried everything. And if you attack every single problem like that, training, working out, you know, give yourself ideas. What is it? Habits. Everything's habits with me. You know, I can tell myself I'm going to do today 2 10 rounds, and I will do them. Because if I don't do the 10 rounds, I can't look at myself in the mirror when I brush my teeth at night. I see a loser. That's literally how I train myself. And I don't like that feeling. So I'm going to do the 10 rounds. Well, I'm sick. I go, too bad. I'm going to have to do 10 rounds. Otherwise, I can look at myself in the mirror. You see, I just trained myself like that with everything. And then you simply do it like auto trainer. I do it every day.
Yeah, you have a habit. You've done it since 2018. Yeah.
Every single day. You know, and they say, yeah, but maybe 40 times. Yeah, but that's, you know how when I travel? Go to Brazil, go to Budapest. I'm constantly traveling. Yeah, I miss a few days here and there.
That's a good track record. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Pretty good. Yeah, it's like 4% less than 4%. I didn't do it. So.
Yeah. Now, that's a great life philosophy of, you know, always having a backup plan and being prepared. That's something that, you know, in the SEAL teams that was drilled into us. They're basically telling you every mission that you go on, you know, you've got to have that backup plan, because your first plan it's going to go to shit. Something's going to happen. And so you have to, you know, move away from a target, reorganize, and then, you know, go back with your backup plan. But yeah, just being prepared, and that having that relentless drive like you have, you know, that's so important, because so many people, they'll start with something, maybe have an initial failure or a problem or what have you, and then boom, this is not for me. Well, you don't know. You maybe need to go back a few times and push through some discomfort, like you've pushed through with asthma and you know, all the discomfort. You know,
I hated submissions. I didn't like it. I thought it was not. I thought. Yeah, I know what the dumbest thing I've ever said during a fight? With Frank Shamrock, he shot on me, I sprawled, and he fell on his back, and he invited me to come to the ground. And I'm the idiot. I go like, stand up, fight like a man. Like submission game is not manly enough. So fast forward, I'm doing this. I'm walking around in Tokyo with a whole group of fighters a day before our fight. And this John Blooming is with me. He's the 11th degree, the only gaijin, the foreigner, who has an 11th degree in Kyokushin karate. Very high growth. He's from Holland. And he was standing behind me, and there's suddenly we hear hybrid wrestling Pancras, this big, giant freaking screen. And the first thing we see is me knocking somebody out. My first fight. I go, whoa, this is crazy, but there's a giant screen, like the whole building. I go, man, that was a preview for the next day for the fight that we had. And I see this guy sitting in the half guard, and he grabbed the heel for an inverted heel hook. I didn't even know what it was. So he grabs it and he falls back, and the guy taps. And I'm looking at Joe Blooming, and I go, I got to remember that move. That's a cool move. So the next day I'm fighting, and I'm in that position. So I figure I'm just going to try it. So I get the heel hook. But since I never did it before, I had no clue what a puncher I did. I broke his shin bone in half from the guy.
Oh my gosh.
It was crazy. But that right away, that taught me that, well, submission fighting, that is actually super manly. If you think about it, I can dislocate, and every jiu-jitsu guy can do this. It's not only me. You can dislocate or break any bone, or dislocate any joint, or break any bone in the body. Anything. You want to hyperextend your leg? Boom, knee bar. You got to look your heel hooks, blow your knee out. I mean, that's a big power to have. I can literally decide what I'm going to hurt you with. I don't want to walk you. I don't want you to walk anymore for the next 4 months. I'll knock you out, give you an inverted heel hook. That's it. Bye leg. You're going to be gone.
Yeah.
So me saying stand up, fight like a man. If I see every time when I see that clip now, I go, I'm such an idiot.
Yeah.
You know, but that's what we were programmed in the beginning. Everybody thought that the strikers were the man, right? And then Hoist Gracie came along.
Right. And he brought jiu-jitsu and all of that, and And so now we're looking at MMA from a completely different perspective. Yeah, he would be out in the ring laying down, and you'd think, oh, that's a submissive position. No, he's inviting you. He's like a cobra. It's like, please come down here and play with me, and he can stick his fangs into you and break anything. So, that's what's so unique about MMA, and it's how it's evolved over the years. So, well, cool, boss. I know we could talk for hours about your fighting career and all the stories. And I know you're a busy guy, but yeah, thanks so much for getting on our podcast. We're going to post up in the notes about the O2 trainer and also your gym out in Thousand Oaks. I guess if it's open, we've got a lot of athletes out in California or readers, listeners that are, when they travel, they're out in the LA area. Hope to send them up to your gym and to check that out. So,
you let me know, brother. That sounds good.
Okay. Yeah, next time I'm out in LA, I'm gonna have to come up there and check out the gym. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice place. It's very cool. So anytime, you just let me know. You got my number.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much, boss. It's been a huge honor to have you on the show, and all the best in your continued recovery and with your business endeavors. Your entrepreneurial. With your gym and the O2 trainer and coaching and all that, we wish you all the best of luck and skills out there. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much. All right.
You're very welcome.